A-tube. So here's a video with just some of the very basics of spear style or Ralph Thorn knife throwing. I'm going to show you 3 tips that I apply the most to my throwing, and these will make your throwing style more consistent. It's when you become more consistent with your style, you'll get more sticks, and it'll be easy to just pick up a knife and start throwing. You'll do better on your cold throws. It'll take you less time to warm up if you're consistent with one style of throwing and the same mechanics for virtually every throw. Okay, so 3 aspects or attributes that I like when I'm throwing Ralph Thorn style is the first is I shift my weight. Okay, so most of us are right-handed, so you're going to start with your weight on your right foot. You're actually kind of almost leaning down. Okay, so when you begin your throw, your weight is going to shift over to your left side. Okay, now when you do this, it helps your balance out, and it helps you be able to have a good feel of what the knife's weight and what it's going to do. It's kind of hard to describe, but trust me, when you put your weight on your right foot and switch over to your left, it works a lot easier. It even helps some people to lean back at first. Okay, that's one of the ways I learned. All right, when you lean back a whole lot, it helps you be able to get a lot of power, and just be able to have a good feel of the knife's weight and what you feel like it's going to do by the time it gets to the target. Okay, the second aspect. When you're throwing a spear style or any other knife throwing style, or even other skills like shooting and archery, you want to have a small focal point. Okay, say I'm trying to hit the bullseye. I'm not going to be aiming for the bullseye. I'm going to be aiming for a tiny little speck of grain within the bullseye. That's what you aim at the whole time. Through your whole throwing motion, keep your head aligned on that small, tiny target. It's like the quote in The Patriot, aim small, miss small. That's the idea. You want to pick a focal point that's as small as possible. Obviously, you're not going to hit it at first, and you may never get a point where you hit it consistently, but that's what you want to aim at. Okay, the final thing. As you know, with Ralph Thorn style throwing, the signature aspect that gives it the no spin capabilities is the downward wrist flick. Okay, some people think it's the grip. Not really. You can use a spear style or Thorn style throw using similar grips. If you've watched his video or DVD, he's at one point drilling basic socks on his hand. So he's just isolating the wrist and be sure just to make sure that he gets the right wrist action. Okay, so the wrist action is going to look different from throw to throw. But one thing I like to do is if you think about, there's a term in sniping, reach out and touch something or somebody. That's what it feels like you're doing. So you begin your nice natural throwing motion. When you get it to about here, you're just going to put a little bit of push behind the throw, okay? So reach out like you're touching something. So you're here, there's this cocked. Okay, so ideally on release, I like to have my finger pointing straight forward. Okay, by the time my finger's pointing forward, the knife should be leaving my hand and flying like this. Okay, again, that's going to vary. Some people like to cock the wrist back a whole lot before they throw, and that's good. You can still do that. Same thing. I'm not sure how this applies to other styles like fading, where you bring your wrist back and you throw it. That's not really my thing. I'm just talking about spear style throwing in particular. Okay, it's sort of like the best of both worlds. If you look at shuriken throwers, all they do is the push. There's very room for natural movement of the overhand. Like most guys, if they're throwing a football or baseball, it's going to be a nice natural movement. Okay, and that's what you can relate no spin knife throwing to. It's a nice natural movement, but when you get to here, you just want to add a little bit of push. So you're here, the knife is still pictured in my hand. I'm just going to push it out a little bit. Okay, that's going to help it. It's already got the wrist flick it's going to need from here, but that's just going to line it straight. Okay, Ralph Thorn refers to it as like you're stroking the handle down. Okay, and that's exactly what you're doing, but you're doing that by pushing the knife just a little bit upon release. Okay, well those are the 3 tips I have. Hopefully this was helpful. It's kind of one of those things that's kind of hard to describe, but those are the 3 main tips that I'm using, trying to get my spear style no spin consistency. The knife, if you're curious, is a Sure knife from Flying Steel. It's a really good knife. It's designed for no spin throwing, particularly spear style. Ralph Thorn designed this. It's a good handle heavy knife, which is what you want for your spear style throws. Again, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.